Welcome to 5 Stripe Weekly. 2 results over the week, we break down each match and preview the big one over the weekend. All that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5 Stripe fam. I'm AJ and this is Marc. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. Follow our Twitch for watch-alongs on match days on twitch.tv/ATL UTD FanTV. So let's get to it. Into the match review, the 4-0 win against DC United on Saturday night at Audi Fields. Definitely not the house of horrors that we thought it was going to be, for sure. And yeah, John Gallagher brace, Lennon with a couple of assists and a ridiculous just blast into the top bins, and then an Adam John header. I mean, all in all, a very good night against DC United. What really probably, maybe could have been a little bit closer in some respects, as, they're reeling much worse than we are, I would say. And,
Right.
if they had been a little bit more clinical, it would have been a way different type of scoreline. But also, I think we were able to, conversely, be clinical and really take advantage of a side that's not only struggling, but, the fact that Ben Olsen is still their coach, like we were talking about in our match preview and also in the match preview with Between Clean Sheets, Cheyenne, it's perplexing how they still, the biggest gaffe in the game. I think we almost have to lead off with this, is that, Russell Canoose, who wasn't on the team sheet, he was subbed in the second half. And, that's almost like, head coach 101, whether he writes the team sheet or not, because sometimes it's the assistant coaches and whatnot. But, that's ridiculous. And he was trying to get Stephen Glass to just, let's just move on. Let's just play the game. But there should have been a red card. There should have been, they should have been down to 10 men. That's, I think, what we understand from the letter of the law. But, what are your takeaways from the match?
Yeah. There should have been. So just to touch on that real quick, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it again, but there should have been some sort of penalty, right? Like either a red card, either the dock to substitution, or according to FIFA bylaws, like the match should have been forfeited. I know that, leagues don't necessarily follow every single FIFA law, but it's weird though that like, it's like you can Google it, you can search it. Like Pablo Mara, like a couple days after the game, posted that straight off of FIFA's website. Like, you play an ineligible player, that match becomes a forfeit. So I know like it was unprecedented in terms of MLS. Head ref was literally on the phone with the pro organization, and I guess they told him to just go ahead. I guess that was the it was like a damage mitigation type of solution, basically. I guess there was a little bit of saving face, not wanting to stop the match right then and there. But pretty silly overall. The match itself, not too many complaints. Getting that early goal certainly helps, and like we talked about during the match and on fan cam, it's how it came about, and it came about with direct play. And so, I think overall what you saw from this match was a framework for how Atlanta United can approach future matches, in terms of, especially in terms of an attack and in general, how to manage the game. I think the key period of the match was between the first and the second goal, because second goal comes towards the end of the half, and I thought it was key that we didn't concede in that time.
Right.
I think that moment was probably the most competitive moment of the match. DC certainly could have scored. They had a couple looks, but they weren't able to convert. And so it looks like it's going to be 1-0 heading into halftime until Brooks Lennon blasted into the top corner. So, and then, 2-0, then I don't want to say the game becomes easy, but it's certainly a lot more manageable when you're up 2-0, because then the other team has to attack, and that gives you more room to counter them. So, yeah, I mean, good performance from Atlanta overall. DC's a shambolic side. They obviously have a lot going on. It is shocking. It is shocking to me that Ben Olsen is still DC United's coach. I do not understand how that can be the case. You know, like, this is why, like, one of the things I always say as a fan is I'd rather be the team that lets a coach go too soon rather than, holding on too long. And, like, I think it's well past the point of Ben Olsen needing to be let go by DC.
Yeah.
That's just my take.
Yeah, spoken well as a Chelsea fan who
Yeah.
there's
That might have something to do with it, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of turnover in the Chelsea management department, but I mean, sometimes it's a good thing, and it's obviously worked out for Chelsea frequently. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole malaise that Ben Olsen has pretty much brought DC United to, it's really interesting. But back to your point about it being 2-0 and it was rather easy to a regard. I mean, a lot of people kind of regard 2-0 as one of the most dangerous scorelines in soccer. But for us, I mean, because DC was just not much of a danger after that, it really was much easier. But because sometimes, yeah, I mean, once it gets to 2-1, then, it could have been a much different story. Then we would have been fighting for our lives for the rest of the game. And then would have been trying to either maybe score that third goal or set up shop. But luckily we were able to be clinical, and these goals, I mean, just I think, yeah, the dynamic between all of them is, I think, wonderful. You have the first one where John Gallagher, he makes a smart run, clever to really get to the box in a really timely fashion and put away that ball really clinically. The second one where Lennon, just individual skill there a little bit, and who knew he had that left foot like that? That's
right.
Highly accurate to the top bins. And then that third goal, just the team goal. I mean, we all love to see it, but just the interplay, and lo and behold, it's Emerson Hyman, kind of between all of that, who's a big part of getting the ball finally to Gallagher, who takes that final touch away from Bill Hamid and puts it away with his left foot. I mean, it's just beautiful. Chef's kiss indeed on that. And then Adam John, just a classic big man, target man header from across from Lennon. And this is I think the different types of goals that we can score, and it's great to see that we can actually pull it off, albeit against the bottom dwelling team in the Eastern Conference. But still, you got to play what's in front of you, and we did it. We definitely put them to the sword, and it's I think good, not only optics wise, but also I think from a performance standpoint that we were able to pull this off. I think not only was it in scoreline, but everything else, we pretty much thoroughly dominated DC United. Besides, I guess, possession, which I think at that point, we were okay with just being more direct, letting them have it a little bit. But because right now it still is, we scored 4 goals, but Ezequiel Barco didn't play again. That was the 4th straight match at that point. There's still something missing in the middle of the park for us. Definitely, it seems, because creation from there, maybe not so much. I think it's maybe more from the wings, and then of course the team goal, that's a little bit more from the interplay. But yeah, we definitely need to be able to shore that up and start to get some more of that type of dynamic within our play. But who's your man of the match, you think?
Yeah, it's gotta be Brooks Lennon for me, and I mentioned, just now, like, of having a framework. I think certainly attacks down the right, and we'll get to this in the next match as well. But we definitely seem to be strong going down the right, especially with Brooks Lennon there. I thought his deliveries were really good, obviously. The goal was excellent. And yeah, I mean, like, it just, I think in this particular match, I thought he was standout. And I'm glad you mentioned Hyman as well in terms of that third goal, because I think, we've kind of wondered, like, what exactly is Hyman's strength? And I think it's in the final third. I think that's where he's most comfortable. I think that interplay is, like, really what he wants to do, what he likes to do. And you saw that on that third goal. And so, I think these are things that you can build on going into future matches. But obviously, Gallagher deserves a big shout. I think what he brings in terms of just that aggressiveness and directness, being an outlet as well. It's but I think, just to answer your question, I think that it is Brooks Lennon who is the standout performer in this match for me.
Yeah, and it's definitely, the other two that you mentioned had good matches as well. Emerson Hyman had 2 assists. Gallagher had 2 goals. But yeah, I mean, when you essentially, I think Lennon, he not only had the goal, the 2 assists, he had 4 key passes, 5 accurate crosses. I mean, just throughout his line, it's just he did it all. I mean, he was winning his dribbles, he was clearing the ball, tackling. I mean, he was doing it, and definitely his best match for us indeed. Albeit, yes, again, against a side that's not at all one of the best in the league for sure. But it's what you want to see is building on these type of performances. Now, he might not get these type of numbers every single match, but I think he has been much maligned, so it's good to praise him as well when he is doing well for us. But I think it's a statement against what some have maybe termed him as the Julian Gressel replacement. And where was Julian Gressel? He wasn't really much visible in this game very much. And
he came off the bench, which I thought was very surprising.
Exactly, and he's been benched for the past 2 matches. So it seems like maybe it's a statement from Ben Olsen to him to get him to wake up a little bit, but to maybe not be so, I guess, complacent maybe. But it is obviously, I think Brooks Lennon is already having a better year in that respect, where both these teams aren't really having good years. So if we're gonna compare them, at least we're gonna show that. But again, though, I don't think really any of these players that come in should be directly compared to these players, because they all, I think, bring different qualities. So it's a little bit unfair at times for for teams to do that. But excuse me, I apologize. There's like a frog in my throat this this episode. But so excuse me. So let's get into the post-match quotes. And Stephen Glass. Oh my god. I just have to cut this out. Okay. Whew. It's still in there. It's just like. Okay.
Hope you're okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. 3, 2. So let's get into the post-match quotes from Stephen Glass. He said on that performance, he said, "I think from the start of the game, there was a stronger focus from our side. It looked like there was a bigger determination not to lose a goal. Obviously, we bore the fruits of that early in the game. From there, we find ourselves up instead of down, and the team grew in confidence from that. Then they built on that throughout the night. The players thoroughly deserve everything they got tonight." So, yeah, I think that's a great point as well, is where Well, we didn't concede early, and that's been one of our Achilles throughout the season. And when we don't do that, well, we can start to build on it, and that's excellent to see. Is that the team grew in confidence after that. But yeah, John Gallagher, he spoke about the 2 goals that he scored. He said, if he had a favorite goal of the ones, he said, I don't know, they were both nice in their own way. The first, obviously, just to help the team kind of get off the pressure off our back. We conceded a lot in the first 10-15 minutes of the game. So in the locker room, we had Brad, Jeff, saying that let's put the pressure on them right away, and we did that. He went on to say other things, but I think, they put focus on that, and that's super important. I think moving forward, that's something that the team really does need to do, is to be switched on early in the match, and then you can really, I think, make some things happen from there. So anyway, let's wrap a bow on that match and get us to the match review against Orlando City. It was a 0-0 draw on Wednesday night, and I mean, it's Orlando are 9 undefeated at that point. It's they're in really, really good form. We are coming in probably mostly just looking to keep it level, keep it for a draw, and that would be a positive result. Although a lot of people are saying this is a must-win for us. This was a game that we needed to take advantage of them resting some players, Nani, Miller on the bench, but still Ezequiel Barco.
And they also had. Mm-hmm. Sorry, they also had players missing on international duty, like Moutinho. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of others I mentioned as well. But yeah, this was definitely close to a B team for Orlando City.
Right. And their keeper, it was right. Their backup as well. And so, for us, Ezequiel Barco missed his 5th straight match with the mysterious knock that he has. Rossetto didn't play. We don't have any DPs on the field again. So, it definitely really was, I think, a lot closer than it's really our B team against their B team. I mean, whether they're starting more regularly or not in terms of ours, it's a different story. So, I think it played out to, what we would probably expect mostly when you look at the two sides on paper. And so, a little bit where it's, I think, though, Orlando probably had the better chances of the match. They weren't as clinical as they probably wanted to be. They hit crossbars, posts. Bracuzan, stood on his head and did very well. That double save was definitely very, very crucial in keeping us in the match.
Oh my gosh.
Super crucial. He had season high 6 saves, and it was his 5th clean sheet of the season. But we'll take the positives, I think. 2nd clean sheet in a row, and 3rd in the last 4 matches. It's something that we can build on these clean sheets, because that's a confidence builder for sure. What were your takeaways from this match?
Yeah, so I was at work last night, so I didn't get to see the match live. I did look on my my app to see the results, and then I saw that Guzan was man of the match, so I thought, okay, I had in my head, I had an idea of how it played out. But what I will say, though, is Atlanta United had some chances as well. I mean, I think at the 8th minute thereabouts, there was a cross from Bello that was just a little too high for John. Not long after that, there was a cross from Lennon that almost reached Gallagher, much like the first goal against DC United. To the end of the half, there was that, was it a penalty, was it not? There was contact there. But that counterattack I really liked, because Lennon picks up the ball on the right, Escobar bursts forward and takes a defender with him, and you essentially had runners and a defender on each runner, and that's how Lennon is able to find John over the top. And so, I thought there were some good signs there for sure. There's a Miles Robinson header off of the set piece. There was an Anton Walk shot off of a set piece as well. And I think that's something that I'd like to see Atlanta United sort of add to their game, is being able to capitalize off of set pieces, yes. Especially as, we don't have DPs, and so we're having to approach the game a little bit differently. That's an area that I'd like us to be able to capitalize on in future matches. But Guzan was certainly the busier keeper of the two, but Ro had to make some saves as well. And so I do think this was Orlando's match. I think that they're probably the more disappointed with the result. But actually, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, they weren't even half chances of the two first things that you were talking about, but they were, I think, if they had at least gotten onto the player, it would have been a pretty good chance. And so yeah there were, I think, maybe four half chances to a degree that I think would have kind of made it a little bit different. But ultimately, I mean, it's a game of inches, and really it's unfortunate like those didn't happen. I talked about it during the Twitch stream that Gallagher or that Lennon to Gallagher ball in behind, kind of a cross. It was, oh man, that would have been a beautiful one, because the amount of bends, it was almost there. It would have been a really beautiful goal if he was able to get on the end of it. But yeah, so it seemed like, I mean, I think mostly it's a pretty pretty attacking game as nil-nils go. It wasn't drab per se, but it definitely was lacking quality, I would say. And that's where, it's understandable from our end. It's understandable when they rest so many guys, although they eventually did bring them on, Nani, Miller. Right. And so, that's like 2 straight matches that they have rested guys against us, which I think maybe shows the state of kind of both clubs at the moment a little bit, but also, it's the fact that they maybe felt confident that they still could have gotten a win against us in that sense. It's a very telltale of the times, unfortunately, right now, but it's also we'll take the positives of what we can get out of it at the moment, because I think we are building and trending a little bit upwards. So it's good to see, but still largely, in terms of the stat wise, Orlando, I think pretty thoroughly dominated. 15 shots to our 9, shots on target 6 to our 3. I believe, in the second half we only had, or just in general, we only had 6 chances created throughout the entire match, which is definitely not good enough. And so it's definitely, I think, a little building block, a little bit. It's definitely a reversal of type of the fortunes that we have right now. But I think a big thing also to talk about in this match is Franco Escobar. I mean, it's unfortunately, I think we see the Franco Escobar of old a little bit in where it's not the a little bit more disciplined one, it's the ill-disciplined, where he, in a span of maybe 2 minutes, very well could have been sent off, but somehow was kept on fortuitously. We will take it. Absolutely. But
look, man, no, I mean, to be objective, like, we talk about the refereeing of this league way too much because we have to, right? Like, going back to that DC match, there was the snafu with the sub, and then there's the Yamil Assad challenge, which I don't understand how that's not a red right away. I don't understand how VAR doesn't intervene, and then I don't understand how pro referee days after the game does not address that challenge. That's like ridiculous. Like, that's a chop. It's like seconds, like 3 or 4 seconds after the ball is gone. Like, what are you doing? That's the type of challenge that can get players hurt. And then, the match last night, look, Escobar very well could have been sent off. Like, that it's in the first half. I think the 37th minute is when that he goes in sliding late, already on a yellow. Like, a lot of refs, especially in other leagues, would have shown him a second yellow right then and there. Like, it doesn't matter if it's in the first half. There's something I complain about a lot too. It's like, in the first half, it's almost like you're allowed to get away with light murder, And so there's the challenge late on where they really were in the ref's face trying to get him a second yellow. There's not as much contact, so it's like, that's borderline. But Escobar could have been gone.
If any contact, really. I mean, the Janssen one where, he rolled around a little bit, it's like, that should have been embellishment a little bit as well. Where, it's a lot of shithousery going on.
Yeah.
And it's understandable, but
yeah, and I give credit to Nani too, because he eventually stepped in and was like, telling her to calm down, focus on the game, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I do agree, like that was a bit of shithousing, but Escobar is definitely on the line,
on a
towing
thin
that
line
line.
there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
I think his play overall was okay. I thought he had some good defensive moments, but that's that when he's on the edge like that, you worry for sure.
Exactly. I think everyone was on the edge and hoping that maybe he was subbed off. And that's, I think, another big part of this match was a lot of fans calling for substitutions, but that just didn't come. I mean, only 2 substitutions in a midweek match, and very interesting, maybe perplexing to a degree, because Dom did come on, and then that's really it until the 88th minute, where it's not, you need probably a little bit more energy to maybe try to push on possibly, but maybe to try to get into his head there, thinking, is it maybe because he's trying to win it with the guys on the field, they look the most likely possibly, but Tyler Wolff comes on at 89th minute, and that's really it. I mean, just 2 subs. But I think also, another moment that's super, I think, contentious in a way is Adam John in the penalty box. Pretty much he gets taken down, and VAR looks at it, and they're like, it's not a foul in our eyes. He's already falling down, is what was said afterwards. And if you look at it, he's foul. So
yeah, I think he's clipped. I think his heel is clipped by the goalkeeper, but I guess it's just one of those where it's like it's not enough to overturn it. But I feel for him on that one.
Right, because it wasn't necessarily called on the pitch in that way immediately, and so it's just it's another case of just the refereeing obviously being annoying and shambolic to a degree as well. But it seems, we talk about this every week. It's per the usual, so we just have to kind of deal with that. But do we want to deal with that? No, but it's just what we have to do as fans in this league. But in terms of anything else in this match, like takeaway wise, final thoughts, like what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go back to Brooks Lennon. I thought that a lot of our good moments came down the right side once again. And I think in general, like it talked about after the DC match having a framework, I do think you saw some of that. Obviously, Orlando's a better team. I think Orlando did a good job to fall back when they needed to. And so some of those attacks, I think, were just snuffed out. And, there's not much you can do after that. But I think that especially with as the lineup rotates, as it's going to have to, I do think that at least we're kind of rebuilding an identity, so to speak. So yeah, I like Lennon on the right. I think the combination of Lennon and Escobar is good. Bello's getting forward again, and if he and Gallagher seem to be with a chemistry as well. And so I think it's a matter now of working the other players in. You saw Jurgen Damm play, he's another winger type. So that's the strength of our team, I think, is that pace down the wings. And so, I think that's the biggest positive. I thought Mo Adams had a decent game as well. Covering, making simple passes. Obviously you like to see the team be a little more clinical. But I think that this team can certainly get points going forward, certainly enough points to make the playoffs, which is ultimately the goal right now. So.
Right. And definitely, I think that's let's talk about Mo Adams. Stephen Glass had some words to say about him after the match. He said, "I think Mo has been good in training. When you have a squad like we do, sometimes you have to wait your turn. Mo has been patient, has been waiting and training hard. I've also said it publicly that I leaned on Eric quite heavily, Eric Remedi, and I believe his performance level suffered based on how much I leaned on him. I think coming out of the team hopefully serves him well, and his performance will go back up to that we know it should be and what Eric wants it to be. So that certainly explains a little bit maybe what Remedi, why he was not involved in this match, maybe, for the fatigue reasons, for the rest reasons. But it's interesting when he says, when you have a squad like we do, I mean, I guess in numbers we do have a lot, but I think maybe quality is maybe not where we want it to be, definitely. And so, I understand maybe what he's trying to get at, but it is a head scratcher to a degree as well, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I think most of us would think that, Remedi, while he's been inconsistent this season, some cheap giveaways at times, and maybe not the energy levels that we totally usually expect from him. Mo Adams, he was able to show a little bit in this match, but you still, you want more maybe from, I think, short passing side of his game instead of, he was able to, long diagonals, he was pretty decent at. His range of passing has gotten a little bit better, but you still want to see him be able to keep it a little bit better than he has as well. But anyway, I think unless you have any more thoughts on the game, I think let's wrap that baby up as well.
Yeah, good for me.
Okay, but so let's get into the news. And first up is that new boy Marcelino Moreno. He has been training individually, and he's also wearing number 10, replacing Pete Martinez's number there. But the word is that the realistic target is October 10th. This is the next match against New York Red Bulls that he could make his debut. Not start, but probably just, get a little bit of a run out. I mean, he hasn't played a competitive match since March. He, has been training with Lanús, so there is, I think, a little bit maybe better than maybe what we were having to deal with maybe with Jürgen Damm and Kubo Torres, where they had to go from zero. I mean, at least Moreno, he's going from a little bit of fitness, and so it'll be good to see how long and how many minutes he can get. I don't expect very many, to be honest, but it'll be, we'll all be looking forward to seeing our new DP on the pitch on Saturday. So, moving on from that, Ezequiel Barco, Matheus Rossetto, and Eric Lopez were seen at the stadium last night in a photo posted by Barco and Eric Lopez. We at least see Barco. He's alive. He's he's in and around the team, so that's good. But it's a mystery to why he's not playing. But and so obviously, both the two latter ones are injured. Eric Lopez still cannot take part because of lack of a roster spot. But Stephen Glass did speak about Barco this week. And he did say he 100% sees him playing with the team for the rest of the year. And he said, quote, Ezequiel has been training. He is day-to-day. I don't want to divulge what his injury is, but he's been carrying an injury that he's been able to train. He's been feeling things, and he's had a couple of setbacks. So there's nothing sinister going on with him. With all that said, what do you take away from this, man?
I don't like how the club's handling this, and I think they need to read the room a little bit, because it's definitely fans are getting frustrated. People who cover the team are getting frustrated. Nobody knows what's going on. This isn't a knock. You know what I mean? They haven't come out and given any sort of definitive update in terms of what kind of injury he's dealing with or what exactly is keeping him out of the lineup. And so, it's hard to say. I mean, yeah, Stephen Glass says he sees him playing with the team for the rest of the year. Does that mean he's going to be an Atlanta United player but not actually, play? I don't know, man. Yeah. It's just,
it just brings it
It's,
rife for speculation for sure. A lot of people are
yeah.
speculating one thing, that maybe he was holding out for a move. Obviously the window has passed, at least in Europe a little bit, so that it's a little less likely, possibly. Was he holding out? Was the team holding him back? Any of these things, we just don't know, obviously. I mean, they haven't said it. The transparency is obviously needed from the team. I think you're right. The reading of the room is super important right now, because I think the fans are getting, restless about it. They want to see the one of their DPs play, and however bad this injury is, at least let the public know. But moving on from that, Jose Martinez, he received an honor as the best athlete in 2020, and he wrote a nice little message. He said, "Great honor to receive the best athlete 2020 trophy from my beautiful city, Atlanta. Always, good to see the king get his due. Whether this was for 2019 or maybe for 2020, not really sure, but whether he's getting a trophy. I'm happy with that. That's I think keeping him happy during the time that he's injured, totally good with that. Totally good with this. But anyway, so moving on from that, John Gallagher and Brooks Lennon were named to the MLS Team of the Week. I think very much well deserved for their performances against DC United. And Brooks Lennon, of course, you put it up to vote. That's what we do. We you stick the nail out, we're gonna hammer it. And he won for the vote 54.01% of the MLS goal of the week. So, that's really, I think, just kind of what we do. But to you, was it the best goal of the match, or
Of the match?
Yeah, of the match.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. Because it's the whole thing too. The way he flicks it over his head and brings it back, and then that's supposed to be his weaker foot, and so the way he catches that's just so sweet. But that third goal was also pretty nice. I think in terms of what we think of Atlanta United football, that's what we want to see. You said that on the fan cam, and so I totally agree. Yeah, but yeah, I probably give it to. I just love seeing that individual effort, I guess.
Yeah,
because every player dreamed of catching it that sweetly, so I'm happy for Lennon.
That's true. All right, so let's move on. Tata Martino and Frank de Boer, they faced off as Mexico and the Netherlands played a friendly, and it was a 1-0 win for Mexico at the end of the night. But I think really interesting, obviously, because both former LA United head coaches, and I think this before the match was I think really poignant, and always I think Tata Martino just knows the right thing to say most of the time. He said in a Zoom conference to the media that between him and Frank de Boer, it's a coincidence. What the two of us have in common is that we both spent time in a beautiful city like Atlanta. That's just that's very smart from Tata Martino. He has the keys to the city in Roswell.
Yeah.
You might as well have a key to the city to Atlanta, because at least as far as I'm concerned.
He needs some sort of insignia in the Benz. I don't know, if they do the Ring of Honor thing, or maybe a smaller statue or something. I don't know, but
right.
Tata
at
needs
least
to be
a little
immortalized.
mural, maybe, or something. At least a picture of him on one of the walls that's a fairly seen and important wall. But
yeah.
Anyway, so let's move on. Speaking of the Benz, the Benz will be using drones to help sanitize the Benz. The drones will reduce time spending cleaning the Benz in terms of the seating bowl by 95%. And the Falcons, of course, will also be enjoying that type of sanitization as well. But interesting. Definitely, I mean, using technology in that regard. I don't know how, if it's just for optics mostly, because, I mean, sure, it might kind of, clean the area a little bit, but if you're getting into the nitty gritty of it, I don't know if it's doing a ton, but I'm not a scientist.
No, that's what I was thinking too. Because, like, I mean, obviously this is because of COVID.
Yeah.
The biggest risk is, person-to-person transmission, right. And so, like, it doesn't, like, the virus doesn't live on the seat or whatever. But I mean, it's not. I guess there's no reason not to do it. But in terms of if and when they have fans, the most important thing to me, I don't plan on going. But to those who do go, the most important thing is following the protocol, the distancing, the wearing of masks, and so on. So if they do that successfully, then fair enough.
Right, exactly. I think this is more to kind of, maybe placate is a strong word, but, I'm going to use it, placate the fans, and hopefully, seeing that the safety protocols are at least being put in place. So anyway, let's move on to Atlanta United 2. They unfortunately fell 3-1 to Miami FC to close out the 2020 USL Championship season. And Jackson Conway, Jackson Conway scored his 6th goal of the season. And but unfortunately, Miami scored 3 unanswered goals to pick up the victory. So Atlanta United 2, they finish with 3 wins, 10 losses, and 3 draws. For a total of 12 points, finishing the USL season in 4th place in Group H. I think we've talked about this, I think, a lot. Obviously, Atlanta 2 play a lot of academy kids. They don't play a ton of veterans. And so basically, it's kids going up against grown-ass adults. So it's going to be, I think, what you expect. But I think we saw a lot from Jackson Conway this season. We saw a lot from Mackie Jop. We saw a lot from Gannon, a lot from Mejia, a lot of these players that I think could see a future, at least maybe more with the twos and maybe some with Atlanta United, the first team in the future. So good developmental, I think, season from the twos. So that does it for the news, and gets us to a little bit of housekeeping. Follow our Twitch for watch-alongs and other fun stuff. Twitch.tv/ATLUTDfantv for more. So let's get to the match preview. The big one over the weekend against New York Red Bulls, our nemesis. I would say most fans would say this is our biggest rival, the biggest derby that we look forward to most of the time. But it might be a little bit depressed in terms of the hype nowadays because of this season. Both teams aren't doing really as well as we both are expected to, maybe expecting to. But yeah, it's this Saturday, 6 p.m., Mercedes-Benz Stadium, shown locally on Fox Sports South and MSG. But yeah, I mean, in terms of in the table, they're 7th, we're 9th. We kind of slipped down because of a result from Montreal Impact last night. So we could have been, it would have been maybe 7th and 8th, but it was not to be. But in our last 6 against them, they've unfortunately dominated it. 4 wins, 8 goals. We only have 1 win with 6 goals, and then there's been that 1 draw in between. Of course, we previously played them in the MLS is Back tournament to that 1-0 loss. It's a trio of 1-0 losses anyway, so that wasn't anything special, New York Red Bulls fans. But but yeah, in our current form, we've lost 3 in our last 6, won 2, and drawn, of course, previously with Orlando City. Yeah, New York Red Bulls. They've been consistently winning and losing, I guess, in their last 6, with 3 losses and 3 wins. So it's definitely, they're trying to find that consistent form as well. They last played Inter Miami. They lost 2-1 on that Gonzalo Higuain. Just, it was pretty nasty. It was a pretty good free kick. He hasn't really, he didn't score any in Europe in terms of free kicks, but he's been on teams with the likes of like Pirlo and, Hazard and others. Ronaldo. I mean, yeah, so he hasn't really had the, opportunities per se, but, he in terms of New York Red Bulls, it's a heartbreaker way to lose, and so they'll probably be looking to rectify that as kind of their. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say they were up in this match 1-0, and then they concede almost right away, and then they lose on that free kick. So, but yeah, Red Bulls. I mean, those 3 wins. That's 3 out of their last 10 matches, and so they've definitely been trying to find their form, find their identity as well. They also let go their manager. They have announced a new manager, so I don't think he's going to be on the bench on Saturday, but.
Yeah, it's still going to be a while before he can get in. So let's get into it. I mean, they get their man in Gerard Struber. He's apparently well known to the New York Red Bulls, at least, I guess has a familiarity with the club. They did pay Barnsley a transfer fee undisclosed for his services. He was coaching over there in England. And, in terms of the interim head coach that they have right now, Kevin Tellwell, I mean, he's basically kind of holding the fort down until Struber gets in. It'll be 6 to 8 weeks apparently before they can get him across the water. So we won't have that new manager bump with him there. That's good at the very least. But
right.
All right. I'm sorry. Bradley Carnell is the interim head coach. But either way, in terms of that, what we face in this current New York Red Bulls side, they, I think, are still trying to play the same way. Definitely, press as high as possible. They don't really like to keep the ball. They're definitely a team that likes to play with the width, and on set pieces, man, you got to watch out for them because they are very deadly with those as well. They have a lot of big guys or players that can win headers. So it's they're still, at least in terms of us, something to contend with. They always play us tough. And Inter Miami, while they're a little bit struggling, they are able to get a win against them. It's just, it's 2020. I mean, it's just, you never know what's going to happen. But in terms of some of the players to watch, take it away, Marc.
Yeah, so of course we're very familiar with Daniel Royer. He plays that attacking midfield forward role. He's
always scores against us.
Always, just somehow. Ugh, so annoying. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists on the season. Aku, of course, the talisman. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists on the season. And Tom Barlow, another forward, solid player. He's got 2 goals on the season.
Yeah, and for Atlanta, John Gallagher, of course, leads our team with 3 goals. Brooks Lennon has 2 goals and 2 assists. And Adam John has 2 goals and 1 assist. These are according to Who Scored. Now, MLSsoccer.com has pre-assists locked in as the stat as well. So you might see Brooks Lennon have 4 assists officially on the season, and it's because of that. But I mean, I think our forward line, those 3 have been, I think, the most consistent so far recently, and so definitely those are the guys to watch out for if you're a New York Red Bulls fan watching this. For some reason, if you like the punishment or something, but
thanks.
Yep, thanks. But anyway, so take away the injuries and availability report.
So they got defender Patrick Segrist with a groin injury. Defender Amro Tarek should be able to go. He's been dealing with a thigh injury. And midfielder Sean Davis should also be available coming off of a knee injury.
And then take away Atlanta as well, man.
Yeah, no. So Barco, I mean, we've talked about it. We don't know. He's day-to-day. I don't expect him to be available for this match. Rossetto is also dealing with an injury, so probably will not be cleared for this match. Castillo might be available. He's week to week. I think he was dealing with a rib injury before, but of course, we know that Joseph is out. We know that Hugo Torres is probably out for the season. And until our roster situation changes, Eric Lopez will not be available for us. Also, due to yellow card accumulation, we don't have Miles Robinson available We don't have Franco Escobar available. That's going to be tough. Not having two starting level defenders not available for this match in particular, I think, where, like the coaches talked about it, we've talked about it, not conceding is the most important thing for us. And so to not have those two available hurts. I think Miles Robinson, we didn't really talk too much about him, but I do think he had a very good game versus Orlando. He looked to be back, in his form, in his imperious form. So I think that it's going to be a huge miss. So it'll be interesting to see how we line up on Saturday.
Indeed. I mean, it's definitely going to be, a real mystery, I think. But, so in terms of our opponent's previous 11, it looks something like this, where Jensen was between the sticks. We have Egbo, Nealis, Long, and Duncan in the back line. Yearwood, Velo in midfield. Shroud, Tete, and Masso in attacking midfield, and Barlow up top. Of course, I think last time out against us, in the MLS's Back tournament, it looked a little bit different. It was a 4-4-2. They kind of switched between those two formations anyway. Last time out, it was Jetson again, Duncan, Long, Tarek, and Pendant in the back line. Below, Davis, Casares Jr., and Kaku on the left there. And then Barlow and Royer up top. I think either way they shape up, it's going to be a high press. It's going to be a lot of harrying when we have the ball, and they're going to be direct. And so, that's what we expect. I don't expect them to probably try to play the possession game against us too much, especially away. So it'll be, I think, a straightforward in terms of expectation, but easy to play against? Not at all. So let's get into our predicted starting 11. And I think we pretty much, sans maybe where we place them, have the same exact 11. So let's get through the lines together. Guzan, obviously, there in between the sticks. Had a great match last match. But let's get into the back line that is going to be a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, and so, I think when you do process of elimination, so as we mentioned, no Escobar, no Miles. So I think you have to put Brooks Lennon at right back. And I think Walks retains his spot at center back. Hopefully Mason's ready to go. I think he should be as the under center back. And then Bello, of course, will be our left back.
Right. Now, Bello, I mean, this will be his third straight match. I think maybe more than that, maybe fourth straight match that he started, and I think he had to play the full match last on Wednesday, and so it's going to be pretty difficult on Bello there. It'll be interesting to see, maybe who can maybe step in and give him a breather maybe later on in the match if that's able to happen. But Lennon, he's been kind of the understudy at right back, so that makes sense. Although maybe you could see a Wyke come in and maybe spray some long balls. That could be, I think, a good feature against a team that would, press a lot. But I also fear if you bring Wyke in and against such a team that is just so dogged in pressing, it might scar him for a while if they just take the ball off him. So it's something that we'll have to look out for, I think, in this back line. Definitely very makeshift indeed. But into the midfield. I think, go ahead.
Yeah, so Lorenowitz has started the last two matches. There's no way I see him starting three matches in 1 week. So I do think Mo Adams retains his spot. It's kind of that DM role. I think Rometty comes back into the side. Stephen Glass alluded to him needing rest, and I think he's probably gotten the rest that he needs. And then I think Hyman also retains his position. So that'll be our midfield three. It'll be interesting to see the roles. You expect Hyman to forward quite a bit, combined with the forwards. I think Rometty will probably do the box-to-box thing. Certainly, supporting Mo Adams as he sits deep. We'll see. We'll see how this combination works.
Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely be tasked with keeping the possession and keeping it tidy, and it's going to be very, very tough indeed against a New York Red Bull side, but. Exactly. Up into the forward line. Yeah, for me, it's it's going to be Gallagher on the left. It's going to be Moreno on the right, coming in in place of Lennon's position. I don't think Dom is quite maybe ready to start a match yet, but come on later. Totally can see that. And then John up top for me. You have it slightly different?
Yeah, I have Gallagher on the right. I have Moreno on the left, and then obviously John in the middle. But I think we're going to look to find John with those early crosses. I think you saw some of that both against Orlando, certainly against DC. And yeah, I think, like I said before, I think the attack down the wings is the key for us. And so, we're definitely looking to see Brooks Lennon and George Bello get forward, combine with the wingers, and hopefully produce a couple goals.
Yeah, hopefully we do. I mean, yeah, I think at least we are playing a little bit more towards the strength of our forward up top nowadays. Trying to play it to his head, or at least get him to hold it up. He's been, I think, a mixed bag in terms of the hold up play, but hopefully he can continue to improve on that, and we can play off of him more so. But let's get into what we'd like to see the team do in this match. I like to see us play with more directness, play with more verticality, hit them on the counter quickly and efficiently like they do against us. Kind of lull them maybe into some possession. Maybe do sit back at times and try to see if they can break us down. And then, we can try to hit them. And I think we have some guys that can do that type of that work. Especially, I think Gallagher, he's been left up top at times during our set pieces. So, he's that outlet that we can possibly find. But we conversely need to watch out for that ball over the top from them as well. They tore us apart in the MLS's back tournament with that first goal or the goal that they scored against us. A little too easy, it really seemed. So, and then also don't play into their pressing traps. So if we need to lump it, let's lump it. Let's if we have to play ugly, it's just, this is that type of match where it's just okay. We excuse it for this one. But what else would you like to see?
Definitely keep it solid at the back. Don't get opened up like they were in the MLS's back matchup. And yeah, just look to get forward again, get the fullbacks forward, look to create mismatches. I think that's really the key for us getting a result here. I do like the idea of pulling them into possession. I don't think they're a team that's comfortable with the ball too much. And so, knowing when to sit off and then knowing when to press and hit them on the break, I think, is the key to us getting at least a point out of this.
Right. So let's get to the odds according to BetMGM, and LA United have a 44.4% chance to win. We are at home. Draw is at 21.1%, and then New York Rebels have a 34.5% chance to win. So, yeah, we're pretty heavily favored, even though they're higher up on the table. And in terms of us, we don't have a DP that's available probably. I mean, we basically don't expect Barco to play, even though, he could be available. We don't know. But, still seeing those odds, very interesting. So, with all that being said, let's get into our score prediction. What do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to be 2-2. I do think that there will be some goals in this. It's that 0-0 versus Orlando, I think, is a little bit deceiving because there could have been goals either way. Mm-hmm. And I expect a similar kind of matchup, kind of up and down, not too much building out of the back from either team. I don't expect that anyway. Mm-hmm. I think we'll end up seeing 2 goals from each team.
That would be much more exciting than what I have expected. A little bit more exciting. I have a 1-1 draw as well. It's a draw. I think, I think it's just gonna be a little bit of a slog in some respects, but also I think some good fight as well. I think you'll see, good pressing. You'll see some exciting moments, but I think at the end of the day, there's nothing in between these two teams. So, I think at home recently, it's going to be difficult for us to dominate teams. We just haven't been doing that. So, Don't see the win indeed. But let us know what you guys think is going to happen. Let us know in the comments below. So that pretty much does it for the show, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, how do you feel about our recent form? We have 2 wins in our last 4. Is it encouraging signs for you? Let us know in the comments below as well. So that's it for us today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button and share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching.